Hello and welcome to the first annual Canvas coverage of the 2020 March Madness Tournament. I'm Chase Peterson alongside my esteemed colleague Bobby Mahurin. Wait a minute. We just got word that the competition has been canceled due to COVID-19 concerns. But we did pay for that television slot. How about a data-driven breakdown of some of the years past and what makes a champion worthy of the trophy?
In our project, we found data from the previous 10 March Madness tournaments, and we tried to figure out what some of the biggest factors were in determining who would win the national championship. Not only do the student athletes greatly benefit from this exposure and experience that March Madness offers, but the schools and the conferences that they represent also benefit financially if they perform well, and even more if they win the tournament. Since universities double as profit-earning organizations, it's important that each school strives for an impressive basketball season, not only for the enjoyment of the fans, but for the success of the university and its impact on prospective students and athletes.
Our question can be broken down to this. Considering all the stats that are accumulated during a college basketball season, which ones best illustrate that a team is well equipped to get a championship victory?
According to CBS Sports, some of the most telling signs that predict a national champion include a feature in the preseason top 25 rankings, a top 40 spot in offensive efficiency, a top 20 slot in defensive efficiency, and a coach who has experience in the Final Four. Along with these variables, we included some other variables that illustrate a team's overall prowess during the regular season, which include average scoring margin, free throw percentage, three-point percentage, membership in a Big Six conference, tournament seeding, and the average distance from school to tournament playing site. Initially, Chase and I thought that a top 20 spot in defensive efficiency would almost certainly lead directly to a title because, as we know, defense wins championships. Through our research and with the help of SAS Enterprise Miner and Excel, we discovered that there is much more to a champion than meets the eye.
Every young basketball player dreams of making the national tournament, but few actually get the chance to see the big dance. Here's a graphical representation of the gold standard for earning a spot in March. The stats we have gathered detail team performance during each regular season. As one might assume, a team's success in the months prior serves greatly to predict their chances of winning the final tournament. As you can see, the average free throw percentage over the past 10 years for participating teams is 71.4%. Considering the collegiate basketball community as a whole, this figure is impressive and difficult to obtain. If a team shoots free throws accurately all season, a percentage close to this one can lock down a slot in the bracket. The three-point shot takes on a huge role in March Madness games, and dead-eye shooting often decides who advances and who goes home. We found that over the past 10 years, March Madness participants have shot a collective 36.3% from beyond the arc. These stats are great and all, but they only show what it takes to get your foot in the door. We're thinking beyond participating here. We're focused on winning. Below are the percentages of championship teams with a Final Four coach, a spot in the top 20 defensive efficiencies, and also those among the top 40 ranks in offensive efficiency. This graph shows that a team with Final Four coaching experience has a significantly greater chance of winning the national tournament. This graph surprised us a bit, as a top 20 defensive efficiency rating only meant a slight increase in winning chances. This graph shows just how important a top 40 offensive efficiency rating is in your chances for winning the tournament.
The decision tree representation found that for teams with an average scoring margin greater than 15.5, meant that they had a 63.64% chance of winning the national tournament. As you can see, the decision tree halts after this node on the right side since this stat is so important. Not many teams have an average scoring margin higher than this figure. So it is quite promising that they will be competitive for the title with this average scoring margin. On the other hand, most of the teams had an average scoring margin that was lower than 15.5. For these teams, there was a 6.52% chance of winning the title if their average scoring margin was less than 15.5. Therefore, the decision tree discovered other variables that gave a look into how these sub 15.5 teams could still rein in a win. But average scoring margin proved to be the most valuable once again, as teams with a margin less than 12.95 had only a 2.53% chance of winning. To compound this, if their free throw percentage was below 75.45%, they had no shot at the title. However, if a team had an average scoring margin greater than 12.95 but less than 15.5, their chances of winning the title went up again. Moreover, if they also had a Final Four coach who had experience in the Final Four in previous years, their chances went to 2/3 for winning the title. This decision tree shows us the data in a new light, identifying the more important factors considering different regular season outcomes.
Although some championship schools shared similar team performance statistics, we found that the most telling variable in determining the champion was whether the team's average scoring margin during the regular season was higher than 15.5. However, one thing that is truly special about the NCAA tournament is the likelihood of upsets and Cinderella teams catching these surefire champions on a bad night. Because of unquantifiable characteristics for these Cinderella teams, our model, along with any other model, cannot have a 100% accuracy rate. But with a reasonable degree of certainty, we believe that the higher the average scoring margin throughout the season, the more likely it is that this team will come away with a championship.